Hello everybody, I'm Cameron and welcome back to another lesson in Python. Today we are going to be talking about mathematical operations. So we're going to be using two different data types. We're going to be working with integers and we're going to be working with floating point variables. No strings in this one. This is purely mathematical operations. So let's get into it. I went over addition. That's pretty basic before. So let's say if we have, we want to make my number, we'll make a variable called my number, and we're going to set that equal to 5 plus 5. And now we want to see the result of that. Let's go ahead and run that. So we get 10. So 5 plus 5 equals 10. Very straightforward. And then if we want to also find the type, we could go ahead and do that. We want to make sure we have the same number of open parentheses as closed parentheses. That's very important. But now we're going to print the type, and we're going to see we have an integer, because integer plus an integer, we're going to get an integer out of it. So there we go, guys. That's addition. But let's say we want to do subtraction. Let's do 5 minus 3. And we're going to go ahead, and we're going to print my number. And I'm going to set the end equal to 2 new lines. That way they're separated from each other. But that way it'll print both our result, and it's going to print the type of it. So let's go ahead and run that. And as you can see, we get 2. 2 is our answer. And now we skip a line, and the type is still an integer. So yeah, guys, subtraction, pretty straightforward too. What if we want to do multiplication? Do we type an x here? And no, guys, we do not type an x there for multiplication. We need to use the asterisk. So you can go ahead, and it should be shift and 8 on pretty much every standard keyboard. That'll give you an asterisk there. So we have 5 times 3, and that should give us 15. So let's see. It does, guys. It gives us 15, and yes, it is still an integer. The only time it's not going to be an integer is either if we were to add or multiply or anything, any sort of modifier that's going to change the answer into a number with a decimal point, or if we're going to use division. So we could have 5 divided by 3. Obviously, that is going to give us a decimal. But what if we had something like 5 divided by 5? 5 divided by 5 should give us 1, right? That is a whole number. It should be an integer. The only problem is it's not. It gives us 1.0, and we have our class float. That's because there's actually 2 types of division in Python. There's regular division, and then there's floor division. So this is regular division. Regular division, no matter what, is going to give you a floating point variable back. If we want to get an integer back, we need to do floor division. And how you do that is you actually do 2 slashes instead of 1. And let's go ahead, and we're going to run this again. Now, instead of having 1.0, we just have 1, and our class is int. But that makes sense for numbers that divide evenly. What about numbers that don't divide evenly? Like, let's try doing 5 floor division with 2. Now, if we had 5, we'll do regular division first so I can demonstrate this. We get 2.5, right? If we divide 5 by 2, that's pretty straightforward. But what if we try and do floor division? Let's see what we get. We get 2. But how does that work? Now, if you guys want to think back to being in like elementary school doing long division, think about how you'd go about that process. We were going to divide 5 by 2 using long division, where we'd also have a remainder. We would get our answer would be 2, just like here. And then we'd have a remainder of 1. So, all right, that makes sense. Floor division is basically like long division in that sense, where we have the answer is 2 and a remainder is 1. But let's say we wanted to get the remainder. How would we get that 1? Well, we actually get the modulus. So modulus in Python you could do with a percent sign. So that'll be shift and 5 on standard keyboards. And there we go. We have 5 mod 2. So that is going to go ahead, and that's going to give us our remainder. And once again, this is also an integer value as well. So this could be pretty handy if we need to do the type of division where we end up with a remainder. There we go. That is how you access the remainder. So if we want to access both, so let's say we want to do our floor division, and now we want to have another variable called remainder. We could actually set that up to equal like that. And now let's see. We want to print, after this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to print remainder. And let me go ahead and I'm going to add this end statement. Actually, let's just take it out of here. And we're going to put that here. The reason why is because now these two are going to be one line after the next. and then it's going to skip, and it's going to go here. So I think I'll actually go ahead, and I'm going to copy this line too, and put that down here. So we're going to do type remainder as well. So now we have our first two lines are going to be my number, which will be the answer to this one, and then it's going to print the type, and then it's going to print remainder, and it's going to print the type. So if we run that, we see when we divide 5 by 2, our answer is 2. That's an integer. And our remainder is 1, and that is again an integer. So floor division is always going to give you an integer, and regular division is always going to give you a floating point variable. Now we're almost done with all these basic operations. There's one more thing I'd like to show you, and we're going to actually go back to multiplication. So let's say we have 5 times 5. That's going to give you 25. I think you guys would all agree with me on that. And forgot to set this to a variable. We're going to make it my variable again. Why not? Was there. And let's just go ahead and we're going to print my variable. That's going to give us 25. I think you guys all agree with that. But what if we wanted to raise it to a power? So 5 times 5 is the same as 5 to the second power. What if I wanted to write 5 to the second power? Well, Python, it's actually very, very simple. All you do is that. You just add a second asterisk there, and now you're raising it to an exponent. So I could go ahead and do this. 5 to the second power is the same as 5 times 5. So this should give us 25 as well. And as we see, it does. So if we want to do this to the third power, that would be 5 times 5 times 5, which would be 25 times 5. If you guys don't know that off the top of your head, the answer will be 125. And if we do 5 to the third power like this, there we see our answer is 125. So we could also do that 5 to the first power, which is going to be 5. Or we could do the 0 power. Now, if you guys know anything to the 0 power, it's going to give us 1. So we get 1 as an answer. So yeah, there you go, guys. We have addition, we have subtraction, we have multiplication, exponents, regular division, floor division, and our remainders. We have a way to do all the basic mathematical operations just like that. And there we go. We could save them to variables. We could also, one more thing I'll show you guys is if we have, let's say I want my second variable equals my variable plus 1. So now what this is going to do is we're going to make a second variable. We actually use our variable. So we could call, right here, we're calling the answer for this. So we do 5 to the 0 power. This will give us 1. Now we're putting that 1 right into here. So my second variable equals the result of this plus 1. So our answer should be 2 now. And let's try running that. And there we go. We get a 2. So you're able to actually use variables that you've already created in another mathematical operation. Now the only thing you can't do is, let's say I didn't have this line here. That would give us an error because it can't find my variable. We have to actually define it first. We have to make sure we give that a value, and then we can insert it here into a mathematical operation. Now, something you don't want to be doing in these mathematical operations are strings. Now, you can use addition to concatenate them. What that does is it'll actually attach two strings, one to the other like that, but you don't want to accidentally let a string variable just fall into some sort of mathematical operation like that. Now, if we do hello plus 1, this shouldn't give us an error. Oh, it does. Okay, cool. So here we go. Can only concatenate string, not into string. Now that might sound like a bunch of garbage to you guys. You have no idea what that means. But what it's trying to do is it's trying to attach a string to an integer, and you can't do that. If I were to make this a string now, and we're going to run that, there we go. So that fixed the problem, and it's concatenated. So yeah, you want to be very, very careful that you don't accidentally take any value that's a string and try to do mathematical operations with numbers, because that's not going to work. But there we go, guys. That has been all of our basic mathematical operations. I hope this video made everything clear to you. If you guys have any questions, be sure to ask me down below in the comments. I'll answer you as quick as I can, and I will see you in the next one.